The phone rang at 3:07 a.m. Not the brittle tone of some spam call, not the soft vibration of a wrong number. No, this was her ringtone, the one I hadn't heard in 3 years. I didn't move at first, didn't breathe. The sound carved through the dark like something deliberately hunting me. When I finally answered, my hand felt foreign, like it belonged to someone braver. "Sweetie," she whispered, her voice threaded with frost. "Open the door. It's cold out here." My mind fractured cleanly in two. The part that still mourned her went silent in awe. The part that remembered the morgue, the closed casket, the shovel hitting dirt, froze in something colder than fear. I stood, walked to the front door. Every step felt pre-programmed, like I was moving through an old memory rather than a real hallway. I leaned into the peephole, and there she was. Same hair, same winter coat, same tilt of the head when she was pretending to be vulnerable. My dead wife, alive, waiting. She lifted her face toward the door, toward me, as if she sensed my eye behind the glass. Then she said the sentence that twisted my lungs into knots. "Remember what you told me the night you found the envelope?" Only I knew those words. Only I knew what was in that envelope. Only I knew the truth she never let me say aloud, a truth she took with her to the grave. Or so I thought. The envelope. I had tried to forget it, tried to bury it beneath chores and calendars and the mechanical routine of grief. But hearing her say those words, hearing her voice breathe that memory back into existence, dragged it all up again. I could still picture that night with surgical clarity. I had come home late, she was in the shower, and there it was on the table, an unsealed envelope with my name written in her slanted handwriting. Inside, receipts, letters, photos, a hotel confirmation with her name on it. And his. Not a stranger, not a passing curiosity, someone close enough to make betrayal feel like a scalpel pressed to the ribs. I remembered standing in the kitchen for an hour, staring at the evidence, feeling the world peel away in thin layers. I never confronted her, never screamed. That wasn't my style. Instead, I studied her after that, quietly, like a scientist observing a delicate animal known for biting when cornered. I watched the way she flinched when her phone buzzed, how she kept her charger in her purse, how she suddenly developed a taste for late-night errands. She didn't know I knew. And then the accident happened. A slippery road, a late text message, a swerve that ended everything. Or so I thought. Now, listening to her voice seep through the door, using that private sentence, that night, that envelope, I felt something shift. Not fear, not grief, recognition. Someone wanted me to remember the betrayal. Someone wanted me to open the door. But I had learned long ago that opening things without knowing the truth is how people end up dead. So I stepped back, and the pieces I had buried began rising, sharp and glistening. I didn't open the door. I went to my office instead, keeping my steps silent even though anything capable of mimicking her voice at 3 a.m. already knew exactly where I was. The house felt different, like it was listening. I opened the drawer where I kept the folder, the same folder I swore I'd destroy one day. I never did. Inside were the remnants of the investigation I had started long before the crash. Phone logs. She had another number, registered under a different name. I traced it. Prepaid. Conveniently untraceable, but only if someone wasn't willing to spend hours mapping calling patterns. I was. I noted the contacts she always deleted, the places she visited, the financial inconsistencies. Then there was the paternity test. That part still carved a hollow in my chest. When she told me she wanted a baby, I believed her. When she claimed she was pregnant, I wanted to believe even more. But timelines don't lie. I tested quietly, Strategically, the child wasn't mine. She never knew. She miscarried before I could decide what to do with the truth. I kept everything. Not for revenge, not for leverage, for clarity, because clarity keeps you alive. Now, with her voice drifting through the front door like a draft, soft, pleading, impossibly familiar, I reviewed everything again. What did she want? Why now? And most importantly, who was using her voice? I checked the peephole again. She was still there. No shiver, no breath fog, just that same calculated tilt of the head. A little too still, a little too patient. That was when the pattern finally clicked. The extra phone, the hotel, the man she lied for. He wasn't in the folder, not anymore, because he wasn't dead. He was the one she whispered to in those late-night calls, the one she planned to leave me for, the one who disappeared after the crash, so conveniently it could never be coincidence. And now he wanted something from me. He wanted me to open the door. I didn't give him the satisfaction. Instead, I stepped outside through the back door, circled the house, and approached the front from the darkness. The street was empty, silent, but it, was still standing at my door, facing it like an obedient shadow. I watched her from behind. The posture was perfect, the coat was identical, but the hair was wrong, a shade too dark, too glossy, a wig. Then she spoke again. "Sweetie, please, you don't have to be afraid." Her voice cracked perfectly at the same place hers once did. Someone had studied her well, too well. I stepped closer. "Sarah," I whispered. She turned, slowly, and the face that looked at me wasn't hers, not fully, not in the ways that mattered. She froze when she saw me behind her, not because she was afraid, because she was caught. "You look just like her," I said quietly. "He trained you well." Her lips parted. He must have told her what to say, what memories to mimic, what secrets to weaponize. She wasn't a ghost, she was an accomplice. And standing that close to her, I could see what she held in her coat pocket, a phone with a live call still running. Someone was listening. He was listening. I took the phone from her pocket, ended the call, and set it on the step between us. "Tell him," I said, voice level. "Tell him I already knew." Her face crumpled, fear replacing rehearsal, and I waited. He called back within seconds. His voice was breathless, panicked, desperate. "Don't hurt her, please. She didn't know what she was doing." I let silence answer him. He filled it like every guilty man does. "I just wanted the truth," he said, "about her, about what she told you, about what she left behind." Another lie, sloppy. "I know about the child," I said. "I know you were the father." Silence on his end. Then a soft, barely audible exhale, the kind a man makes when he realizes the game is over. I crouched beside the woman and placed the phone on speaker between us. "You staged the crash," I continued. "You thought she'd leave with you. She didn't." The line trembled with his breathing. "But I'm not here for your confession," I added. "I don't need it." He swallowed. "Then, what do you want?" "I want you to hear the one thing she said before she died." It wasn't true. She didn't say anything. But he didn't know that. I leaned close to the phone, letting my voice drop to a cold whisper. She begged me not to save her. The woman beside me shivered. He inhaled sharply, as if those words reached somewhere raw. "You're lying," he said. Maybe, maybe not. It didn't matter, because now the guilt he'd been avoiding would rot him from the inside. I left the woman on the doorstep, alive, unharmed, confused. She was only a pawn. I wasn't interested in pawns. I locked the door behind me, returned to my quiet house, and sat at the table where the original envelope once lay. There was no shaking, no racing heartbeat, just stillness. Perfect, cutting stillness. He would spend years wondering if those last words were real. Years drowning in the possibility that she didn't want him. Years imagining her final breath spent wishing for distance from him. That was enough. Revenge doesn't need fire. Cold is cleaner. I stood, looked at the door one final time, and let the last weight fall from my chest. The dead don't come back, but the truth always does. And tonight, it finally knocked. I just didn't open the door.